Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Stefan speaking from the iMoot organizing team, speaking from Germany at the moment. I've got the great pleasure to introduce you to Mark deBoer, who's going to do a presentation about his experience with the flipped classroom model. Mark deBoer is a PhD candidate at the University of Birmingham, but lives in Japan at the moment. And it's really great for me to see him again because I've met him at a Moodle conference in Germany in 2010, I believe.
Oh, was it that long ago?
Yes. So we haven't really seen much from one another in about 5 years. So it's a great pleasure for me to hand over to Mark. If you've got any questions, you can use the chat. You can raise your hand. I'm sure we will have some great insights from Mark. Thank you. Off you go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you everybody for attending. My name is Mark, and I've been in Japan for about 17 years, and I've been using Moodle for about, I guess it's been about 5 or 6 years now. So what I want to talk to you about today is the flipped classroom using Moodle. So first of all, what I'd like to do is just to show you, this is where we are in Japan, right up here in Morioka. This is the northern part of Japan. So our university is located here. And so I'm going to introduce you to our university website now. And basically, we have a very, how do you say, it's a lot of icons. We don't have a lot of the scrolling that we see in Moodle. We have everything is icon-based. So you click on students, you click on learning support desk, you click on the teachers, and everything brings you to new areas where there's more icons or courses. So this is very visual in terms of how we run the software and how we run our Moodle inside. We've just recently upgraded to I think it's 2.8 now or 2.6, I'm not sure. We had started with 1.9. So in these courses or in these areas, basically we have four faculties. The first one is engineering. We have humanities, education, and agriculture. And inside of each of these tabs, there's links to more courses, and then direct links to the courses themselves. But this is our university, how the university is set up. Now, we also have links to self-study courses. So outside of the regular faculty courses, we also have self-study courses, and they are for students to go in and they can either look at videos and look at English questions, or they can look at things that will help them with new vocabulary for their own specialized fields that they're studying in. Okay. And then here are some links to other courses. These are actual courses, and some of them are agriculture. We have some from education. We have some from the humanities department. We have some overseas programs. We also have an engineering program, and then this is an English, general English program. So what I want to do today is to show you what I'm doing in this project right here. This is one of the courses. This is a general English course. And we have, in this course, we have engineering and agriculture majors. They're all first-year students. And there are 38 students total, and the SEFR levels for these students are between A2 and B1, so they're not that high. If you, I'm not sure if, what else? The TOEIC score, I guess, would be around 400. Okay, so inside of this project, what we do is, as the teacher, is I have the students do a main project, and this is a research project. And in the main project itself, they have to do a poster presentation, they do a PowerPoint presentation, and then they have to write a 2,000-word report. And then after that, we also have them create a rubric for assessment. We have them do a 1-minute speech. We also have them do a workshop presentation. We also have them do an energy presentation and a debate concerning energy in a group. And then we also have them do graded readers. So we have them do book reports and speeches. Okay. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about the workshop presentation group. Now, in the workshop presentation, this is the workshop presentation as one of the activity modules inside of Moodle, where the students can actually go in and use a rubric to assess, or actually the teacher can also use a rubric to assess the students on things that they have submitted. So, okay, so in the workshop presentation, the students are going to be doing a 5-minute PowerPoint presentation, and each of the students has to create at least one slide. Okay, now they're working in a group, so the communication's in a group, and they're helping each other create the slides for this 5-minute presentation. Okay, so the first thing that we have the students do is, inside of the course itself, is we have different videos, and these videos are just to give them a small sample of what the actual topic is about. And these, because the students are science students, these videos are all somehow science related. And these videos contain very little English. They're just basically what is earth breathing, what does it mean, and they're less than 2 minutes each. So it's just a very a small introduction to the topic. And when they do the presentation is only about that, not about the video, but about the topic in general. So the students have to actually find more information. Okay. Then this is a workshop group choice, and this is a plugin that I've put in. I used to just have the students pick a group, and then I would put them in the groups myself, but this is a plugin which allows you to set up the groups, and then when the students choose a group, it automatically puts them in the group itself. So this, in these cases here, the students have all, there's a maximum of 6 students allowed per group. Okay, so the students go in there and say, okay, well, I would like to do a presentation on earth breathing, so they choose that, and it automatically puts them into that group. And once the groups are made, then those groups are those 6 students or 5 students that are in that group. They make the presentation together. And the reason why they have them in groups is because we have them do the use the forums, and we keep the forums in separate groups. Now, once they've watched the videos, what we have them do is we've made questions for each of the videos. And the reason why we've done that is, for one, is that they can become familiar with their own vocabulary that's in that video that they after they've watched it. But also, they do the other quizzes so that they can become familiar with the other vocabulary from other groups, so that when they watch the presentations, they are familiar with some of the vocabulary anyways. Okay. And then here are the PowerPoint slides forum, and then the PowerPoint script forum. We have 2 forums that I've set up. One is here, the students can discuss their slides and discuss main points about the presentation. And here the students can discuss what they're going to say during the presentation. So there are 2 forums. And this is the forum group. I've done a grouping of the groups, and this is the workshop grouping. And the workshop grouping contains each of those groups. Okay. Now, I'm supposed to be talking about flipped classroom. So what I'm going to show you now is how this works as a flipped classroom. So the first thing is that in my courses, I don't teach very much. I have the students do a lot of their own research. So the first thing I do is I give the students an assignment. And the assignment that I've given them is, okay, watch the videos, do the quizzes, and you're going to be making a presentation on that topic that's in the video. Okay, so that's the assignment. Then what I do is I have the forum, and each forum group is a separate group. It's not visible to the other students, and the students can go in there and, as a group, begin discussing the topic itself. Now, this is the old forum icon. This is the new forum icon. This is from I think 1.9 to 2.3 or 2.2. So there's a both. But this is the asynchronous dialogue. And in these forums, the students can now write in English, and they can upload slides. They can download slides from other students in the group. And that way they can discuss the project, and I'm not involved with that whatsoever. There's also a group leader for each of these groups. So the group leader kind of monitors things and starts the discussions and sets the schedules and whatnot as well. Okay, so I've given them an assignment, and they begin the dialogue in the forums. Okay, Now this is an example of one of the dialogues, and this is some new data. But this girl, she's said, okay, we're going to start now. So this is the she's the group leader. So she's made an outline of the things that she thinks that the group should be doing. So she's kind of delegating work or dividing the work amongst the group as the group leader. Okay. So in these forum groups now, there's discussion occurring. Okay, what should we talk about? This is a good idea. How about these ideas? So these students are discussing in the forum asynchronous conversation, and you can see, I mean, this is Thursday, this is Friday, this is Wednesday, and we have all kinds of different times that they're discussing. So they're going in when they have time. Okay. So I'm not involved with this whatsoever. I've only given them an assignment, and I haven't touched this at all. And they haven't seen me since I've given this assignment. So they've been doing this during the week when I'm not after class. My classes with them is on Tuesday. So these students have already started the project on Wednesday. So they've started the next day. Okay. Then also in here is they're doing some information sharing. So they're putting pictures, they're putting graphs and whatnot. So they're not just discussing the project, but they're also bringing in data from other areas as well. Okay, and then they're also doing file sharing. So this is one other group where some of them have already started making their PowerPoint slides, and they're uploading the slides. Other students, they'll look at it and they'll make some comments about it. So basically, what the students are doing before I meet them, again, is they're going in there, they're researching the project, they're dividing the work up, they're sharing files, they're sharing data, and they're commenting on each other's ideas, and they're commenting on each other's data and on each other's PowerPoint slides. So it's a very dynamic group effect. And I haven't stepped foot into, I don't look at what they do, and I don't comment on what they do. Okay. And then you can see there's peer evaluation. So somebody's uploaded a slide, they have commented on the slide, and then they're sharing a lot of these slides. So they're also not just uploading and downloading, but they're commenting each other's. And I've seen evidence where the students are actually changing other students' slides and saying, "I've changed a slide. I hope you don't mind, but I think this is much better." Okay. So basically, as a flipped classroom idea, originally the learners come to face-to-face environment to continue the learning process, originally established during the asynchronous pre-class discussions. In other words, I've given them the assignment, they've started the asynchronous conversations during the very first week of class, and then they come to class. And they've already begun the discussions, they've already started going through the slides, they've already started going through the data and whatnot, and then that's when I come in as a teacher. Okay, and I can work with each group individually, and I can ask them questions about what they're doing. Can I see what your slides are? Do you have any questions about the English? And then if they can ask me questions, they can show me what they've been doing, and then at the same time I can kind of ask them questions to see if I can push them a little bit further. Okay, so this is a transcript from one of the conversations, and one of the students is talking about Lake Chad. And there's some mistakes in the transcript. Some students have typed this for me. But basically I'm asking them questions and they're responding, and then I can work with them one-on-one as a group. So this is where my job comes in. I'm not treating the flipped classroom as, okay, read this book or do this or watch this video or take this test and then come to class and ask me some questions. The idea that I'm using for a flipped classroom is that the students are working as a group. They have this group dynamic. They're doing research, and my job is then as the person to come in and help them further along. Okay, so the face-to-face environment becomes a place where the teacher is part of the dynamic assessment of learners through dialogic inquiry. Okay, so basically what's happening is the content that is being produced is from the students, and students are sharing the content with other students, and those students are looking at the content and they're sharing it back with the other students or making comments on it. So the content is not from me. The content is student generated. And the schedule is also student generated. So the students decide when they meet, what they're going to do, how they're going to proceed with the project, the work that gets delegated. And then, as my job is, when I come in and I ask them the questions, is then I can ask them questions which can see, first of all, where they're at in the project, and see if I can push them even further, or ask them questions which make them think of something that's abstract, or I can give them hints as to where to find more information, or I can if there's questions about the English, then I can kind of direct the classroom to say, okay, well, this sentence is a little bit off. What do you mean? And then other students can come in and say, okay, well, I can understand English, so I can help them with the sentence. So my job is more of a facilitator in this environment rather than a teacher. And many of the times, if the students ask me a question, I don't answer directly. I'll direct it to the classroom, and I'll see if another student can answer the question. And also, many places and many times, if they're doing this kind of research, I'll ask them to, there's a teacher at this university who does this kind of research. Why don't you talk to them? So I send the students to other parts of the university as well, and they can talk to professors directly. Okay. So what happens after that then is the students now exit the classroom, and they've talked with me. They've got some new ideas. They've talked with other students. Sometimes they practice their presentation with other students. They've looked at the English. They've looked at the layout of their slides. They look at everything. We look at everything in the classroom. And then they go back to the forums and they continue the dialogue. So basically, what we're doing is we've got the students working as groups with group leaders, creating this and getting the data, then coming to the classroom face-to-face, and for the first time, and I'm also there. And then once that's finished, they walk away and continue. And we do this for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then much of the time though is even after they started this research. For example, this week in class, they're still working on it, but we didn't touch this. We didn't do anything in class, so they're doing it all on their own now. I've given them one class of help, and then before the presentation happens again, I'll have them do a practice presentation, or I'll have them do another session where I can look at their data and look at what they've done, and then they present. Okay. So the other thing is that the students are also involved with the assessment. So I learned this when I was in Germany at the Moodle conference with Stefan, about rubrics. What the students do is as they're making the presentation slides and as they're getting the data, in one of the classes I asked them, okay, what do you think makes a good presentation? What makes a bad presentation? What do you think is important in a presentation? So what the students do is they actually think of these things, and they start to create what we call a rubrics template. And this rubrics template is, I give them just a blank piece of a Word document, which is right here. This is a download. All it is just separated into different categories. There's nothing in there. And then there's a rubrics forum, and this is a different group that they're in, but they're working with that group in the rubrics forum. It's a shared, that's right, it's a private group, but it's not visible to other groups. And then here is a group leader rubric forum. So each of these are about 6 or 7 of these project 1 groups. And each group has a group leader. And so when each group produces 1 rubrics, then what the teacher will do, or what the group leader will do, is they will take it to the next level, and they'll meet only with the group leaders, and they'll share each group's rubric. And then they'll share it, but they'll make, out of these 7 or 8 groups that are in here, they'll make 1 final rubric, and they'll upload it here. So this is what happens in that forum. is, again, they talk about what kinds of things are important in giving a presentation, and they start sharing the rubric. So there's a discussion. There's file sharing. And then once they've finished, this is what a rubric will look like, is I give them this, absolutely nothing on this whatsoever, but they fill in the categories. In this case, they've got the slide, group, picture, other, whatnot, and then each element for each of the categories. And then they decide why that person should get a 0, or why they would get a 1, or why they would get a 4. And then once this is finished, I go over it with them in the classroom, and I try and, because this is the first time they've ever created something like this and they're not sure what to do, I give them some feedback in the classroom. So again, this is the same thing as the presentation. I've given them this assignment. Then what I do is I let them go at it, and then we go to the classroom. I put this on the on the overhead projector, and open the document up, and I go through each one, and I make some comments on it. And in some cases, they redo it. In some cases, we leave it alone. But the final document then I put into the workshop activity as a rubric. So the workshop activity now contains, well, I'll show you. If you go into the workshop activity, this is part of the assessment workshop activity. This my class this year hasn't done this yet, but they've got the attitude, slide, group, picture, and other. And so they've got, I put this in as a rubric itself, okay? And so now when they watch the presentation, there's no marks here at the top. We just have them read this, and if they think that this is what the person should deserve, they click on that, and I've just highlighted it so you can see it. It was hard to see. But this is what the students see as they're making the presentation. And this is used, so basically what's happening is the students are creating a PowerPoint presentation. They're coming to class. I'm working with them on the PowerPoint presentation. Then we take a class and we make a rubric. The students discuss this. I help the students with some of the with feedback. And then what they do is they use this tool that they've created to assess each other. Now, also, the PowerPoint presentation that they're creating, as you notice, the forum is all in English. The students don't use Japanese. And the reason is because they know that they have to make this presentation in English. So they're not just creating a PowerPoint presentation. They're not just creating a report. They're creating something that they're going to use in something else. So they're creating a PowerPoint presentation that they're going to use to present. And they're creating a rubric that they're going to use to assess that presentation. And to tie the two together, some students really understand this, is that when they create the rubric, then some of them actually look at the rubric that they've actually created, and they say to each other, well, if we want to get a good score on this, then let's make our presentation look like this side of the rubric. So the students will actually make more of an effort. Once the students have made this, they'll make more of an effort to make the presentation look like this kind of quality. So basically then is my job is very easy. I just set up the Moodle, and I've just set up the project. I haven't really done much in terms of teaching, except for the one-on-one in class. I'm asking questions or having the students ask me questions. The students create the PowerPoint presentations. The students create the rubric. They give the PowerPoint presentation, and they assess each other using the rubric that they have created. Okay. So in terms of how I manage this flipped classroom, in terms of what the flipped classroom idea is that it's a continuous conversation that's occurring with the students, and I come in occasionally and give them some feedback. So the first thing again is I provide them with an assignment, and the assignment I don't do, it's just, I'd like you to do this, please. And I don't give them very much resources. In my courses, the resources are very few, and the activities are much higher. So if I were to compare resources to activities, it's almost 99% activity and 1% resource. It's the student's job to find the resources. Okay, then the students begin the discussions in the asynchronous forums. And this includes also not just the PowerPoint presentation, but also the rubrics. So this is the two assignments, the rubric assignment as well as the PowerPoint assignment. And then the students begin discussions. And then when the students come to the face-to-face environment, the teacher is there to ask and answer any questions. And then the students continue discussions outside of the classroom. And then the students are also responsible for the assessment. So I'm sure there'll be lots of questions about the assessment part of this, but the students, because they don't see the grades, they're not really marking the students. They're only evaluating what the rubric inside has been set at. So when they look at things like gestures, or when they look at things like the quality of the slides, or they look at the things like how the presenter is presenting, they look at the type of language that's used, they look at just general eye contact or addressing to the audience. So they look at those qualities and they assess based on that. And those grades that I get as a result of the workshop, I don't use them as a final grade. They're only to give me an idea of what the students are observing when they watch the presentations. And I haven't got the data here, but what I've done is I've looked at the videos that they have, that I've recorded of their presentations, and I looked at the assessment, and the assessment is usually very, very close to what I would give them. So the students are actually very aware of what they're doing in the classroom, and they can determine what is a bad presentation, and they can determine what is a good presentation from this exercise. And in the other parts of the course, we do similar things, and we actually do this kind of a rubric once more at the end of the class, because they have to do a final presentation, and we use the rubrics again during the final presentation. But I give them a chance, because they've had the experience of making one rubric and using it, I give them a chance to make another rubric and use it. So the students now with that experience usually create a much better rubric, and they create one that's got more detail and more categories and more elements within those categories based on the experience that they have throughout the year. Especially in the first time that they've used it, the slide that I showed you with the rubric, there wasn't much written in, but at the end of the year, it's completely different. Okay. And that's it for my presentation.
Thank you
for listening.
Thank you so much for that, Mark. That's brilliant. Do we have any questions? You can either use your microphone if you want to ask questions, or type your questions in the chat. We've got plenty of time.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Kim Salinas. It's been a long time. Kim Salinas was actually my Moodle MCCC course. What was that? My mark. She taught me everything I know.
Brilliant.
So, in terms of, I'm not sure how the flipped classroom is perceived in other countries or whatnot, but how often do I rotate the groups? Good question, Ellen. There are a number of different projects inside of the course, and each project has a different group based on what the students choose. And many times the students aren't aware of the groups that they're choosing. They just pick one that they want to do a present. And then once the groups are formed, they meet their group members. So in many cases, it's quite a surprise for them to see someone that they really don't want to work with. But saying that, each group also has a different group leader, and students all have experiences by the end of the year of being a group leader. And there's also, in some cases, we actually had them choose a subgroup leader, because if the group leader is sick or not there, then. But basically, it's like a mini company, I think. So the groups aren't really rotated. They're more of they're created differently. Do you need to facilitate the insurance participant? Actually, they call this the freeloader, I think. No, because there's a group leader, there's no freeloaders. The group leaders, every week we have a short meeting in class, and in the meeting I ask them, are there any problems? Are there any questions? Or do you have any difficulty with anybody in your group? And actually, we've had some cases where the group leaders have come to me and say, we have a freeloader, and we want to fire them. So can we have them removed from our group, please? And the group leaders are chosen. The students choose the group leaders. I don't choose the group leaders. Fire them. Well, the group leaders and the groups. I mean, we've had some. I mean, I'll talk with the student who's involved with that, but in many cases, I don't. I'll talk to the student to warn them and say, look, you're not doing your job. So could it become that some people are always leaders? No. In each group, each person, I don't let them be a group leader a second time. They only give that. How do you solve that? How do you solve that? Well, in many cases, the group leader and the group will approach the student who's not doing the work and say, look, this is a group presentation, and just do the work. And because it's the pressure from the group leader, and because we have the group leader meetings, that the students know that I'm aware of what's going on, and I show them too. And sometimes I'll show them the forums, and I say, look at guys, this forum, they've got 500 replies, and this forum's only got 30. So obviously something's not happening here. So I mean, the students know that I'm aware of what's going on. So I have very few freeloaders. I don't train them on facilitating. There's been one case where in class we had a group of 4 students, and one student wasn't part of the group. She was missing. She was not there in class. So I asked the group leader, where is she? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, you should call her then, because obviously if you're the group leader, you're like a mini manager. If she didn't show up to work, you'd call her. So the student called the girl and said, come to class. So this is good experience for the students, not just for studying English and not just doing a project, but also just learning how to work with each other. And so I might give them some, leadership. So I might give them some prompts of, this is, if this was a company, this is what they would do in a company. So this is treat it like this, and make sure that as a group leader, you should make sure that the students are doing the work. For one, the students come to class prepared too, and then also if there's any problems, you should report that to me. And then anything to do with uploading final documents, anything to do with making sure that things are getting done, the group leader is also responsible for those. And these projects are only 2 or 3 weeks long, so it's a short time. It's just enough to give them the experience and the pressure that they need to learn how to become just a mini manager for a short time. And they know you're grading them. Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure you've said before, Mark, but I've forgotten. How many people are there in a group again?
Case by case, but in the main project there's only 4, and in the mini projects we usually have about 5 or 6.
Yeah, but that's still a manageable size. Yeah.
But they're pretty intense projects, so I mean, they only have a few weeks to do them, and so they have to work as groups. And many times, I've come to the university early on Saturday morning, and the groups are outside on the picnic benches, and they're practicing. So the students are organizing each other and making sure that they practice as well. So it works. And I mean, when I'm not there, I'm sure they speak Japanese, but when they're in the forums and when they're in class, they only speak English.
Any more questions?
Do they use cloud-based docs to collaborate on? What do you mean cloud-based docs?
Probably like Google Docs or Etherpads. Is that what you mean, Nick? Yeah.
No, because in the forums they can upload and download. So everything is done within the Moodle itself. They use the forums, and because the groups are separate, they can't see each other's work outside of the group. Version control in terms of
probably which version is the most recent, and so that people all work only the most recent version, things like this.
No, because the groups, the forums are done asynchronous conversation, they can see which one is the latest. And I also encourage them. I said, you know, if you put something in and upload it into the forum, make sure that the groups know what's been uploaded. Yeah, they learn fast for sure. So, you know, if the student uploads something and said I changed this, and then the next conversation is something completely different, and nothing's written, then it's difficult for the students. So they learn to manage. And in many cases, in companies, I mean, in my university, our internet area is closed. Basically, we're not allowed to use Google Docs or Docs to share meeting information or whatnot. So it's the same thing as it just gives the students an idea of how small organizations work, I guess. Okay.
Okay, do we have any more questions for Mark?
And all the university computers all have the same software in it. So what do you mean that's the largest learning curve?
I mean, Dale, feel free to, you know, if you want to use your microphone. You've just logged in listening only, okay.
Students, some of them, when they make the groups, they also make a line group. Line is very popular here in Japan, so they can kind of send each other messages. But the main discussion of the documents and whatnot is done in the forums. But the reason why we have asynchronous dialogue too is because it gives the chance for the students to think about what they want to write in the forums. If it was more of a synchronous dialogue, then I'm sure the students would tend to use more Japanese. So this gives them a chance to think about what they're writing before they upload. So it's kind of a how would you say, how discussions go happening.
Okay. So you mean because they're using instant messengers all the time on their mobile devices, they find the concept of a forum with posts and replies and things difficult to handle?
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, computers in the classroom is not popular here in Japan.
Oh, I see.
So I mean, in our university, I mean, there are three, and where I work, there are three main computers, 3 computer rooms. The students don't bring computers to the classroom if there's no, if there's just desks. It's not popular, so the concept of them sharing data or the iCloud kind of concept or Google Docs is not popular whatsoever here. But where I am anyways, but it might be different down in the bigger cities. So the forums for them, I mean, many of them, if I ask them too, have you used Moodle or have you used this kind of software before? And then none of them have ever done this. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mark. That was most enlightening, very interesting. All the others, if you enjoyed this, Mark will be doing a rerun, so it could be useful to let people know that you enjoyed it and give them recommendations. Again, thank you so much, Mark. Really enjoyed that. All the best for the rerun as well. It was nice seeing you. I'll stop now and see you soon. Bye now.
So thank you, everybody, and thanks for attending, and thank you very much.